All right, let's go, because you know what I came in to do.
I don't get paid for overtime. I'm here to fight.
This will be seen as me defending you, but Eddie Hearn came out a few months back and said that if he could have got Anthony Joshua in a ring with Francis Ngannou, it's there on record, he would have taken that fight as well.
Well, he said he was trying to make it, and it's a massive fight. Well, it is even bigger than massive, because Tyson's undefeated. AJ at that time, he had 3 or 4 defeats on his card by then.
One of the many clowns who visited my channel after yesterday's events accused me of whinging about Talksport, because this moron can't see the problem with Talksport. But I have one of the best receipt games on YouTube boxing. Now, before we get to the receipt, you can't compare Anthony Joshua taking the Ngannou fight to Tyson Fury, because Joshua don't have no straps. We're not waiting for Joshua to tie up all 4 belts or to attempt to tie up all 4 belts with Usyk. We're not waiting for that. Right now, Joshua can use his time wisely, pick his opponents, get his feet on the ground with his new coach, and then plan to get back his straps. Once again, Gareth A. Davies takes one side of a narrative and tries to make that the fact. Yes, Eddie Hearn did try to make the Ngannou fight for Anthony Joshua. Eddie Hearn is a promoter. But look what Anthony Joshua said. Anthony Joshua turns down gimmick fight against Francis Ngannou. May the 18th, 2023. Just a couple of months back. Anthony Joshua turns down gimmick fight against Francis Ngannou. So it looks like he's back to the drawing board for Francis Ngannou and his team as far as finding a big name heavyweight boxing opponent. You see, Ngannou wasn't looking to fight Fury because he knew Fury was supposed to be fighting for the undisputed title. That's why he went for AJ, because AJ is not constrained by the expectations of a belt holder with mandatories, voluntaries, and more importantly, in this scenario, there's an undisputed fight that the fans want to see. So yes, Francis Ngannou tried to get that fight. Yes, Eddie Hearn tried to get it. AJ, however, didn't want to take the gimmick fight. Eddie had a meeting, a 2-hour meeting with Ngannou, and he said it was an incredible meeting, learning about his life, and he was asking him question after question. But after hearing AJ saying, and let's quote this verbatim, Hearn said he spoke to AJ about the fight, he likes it and he gets it, but he's very focused on his boxing career at the moment, and he doesn't want to derail that to do something a little bit gimmicky. Even though it's dangerous, he wants to prepare for Deontay Wilder, and I think he doesn't feel the Ngannou fight would prepare him for Deontay Wilder. But Gareth doesn't report the 2 sides of the story. And he did a similar thing with Tyson Fury and Andy Ruiz. He keeps saying, Andy asked for 20 million. Yeah, that's what Frank Warren said. But Andy and his dad say something totally different. Now, for all I know, Andy could be lying. But so could Frank. There's 2 sides to a story. And if this is real journalism, you would cover that. So to the motherfucker who says I'm a whinger about Talksport, there's nothing over here for you on this channel. You don't need to be here. You think I need your sub that bad? You think I couldn't do gimmicky shit and get more subs? Clickbaits and take up certain agendas and get more subs? You think I couldn't do that? Whatever Eddie Hearn said is offset by what Anthony Joshua said. That's the bottom line, because he goes in the ring at the end of the day, not Eddie Hearn. AJ's the boss. That's what Eddie says. But AJ said it's gimmicky. But Fury, he chose the gimmicky shit rather than doing the real shit and fight for undisputed. Gareth attempted damage control for Frank Warren, but all he did really was make Frank and Tyson look even shittier. The fact that AJ said he's not going to do it because it's gimmicky, it just makes Fury look even more like the greedy belly mercenary that a lot of people think he is. I don't think Deontay Wilder realizes he needs the Andy Ruiz fight just as much as Andy needs it, because his resume is thin in terms of quality opponents, and that's the absolute truth. The threats that Andy possesses are his self-belief in his chin, his hand speed and counter-punching from a certain range. And Wilder is pushing Andy into fight mode, calling him short, fat, T-Rex armed. Remember, this is a man, Andy is a man who has dealt with remarks like that his whole life. Pillsbury Doughboy, short, fat, T-Rex armed, ha 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 ha. And then he draws strength in the fact that he does have the ability to prove a lot of the naysayers wrong. And he's thriving on that by showing a surprising skill set in the ring that, in my opinion, took him to a victory over Joseph Parker. I've got the post-fight receipts that I made that I thought he won that fight. And he's also been unified heavyweight champion, be it for a few months. Not making no excuses for the Chris Arreola fight. He didn't perform well. But he was in an unusual position where he was expected to win. He was headlining. I think Andy likes it when they're saying, oh, look at this fat kid, he can't fight. And then he comes up and bam, 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 bam. I don't think he really likes the headlining role. Look how he crumbled mentally as a champion after he beat Joshua. He came in heavier than the first fight. He was actually well prepped for the first fight. He beat Dimitrenko just a couple of months before he fought AJ. And he was in the gym, phoning up Eddie Earn, give me the fight, I need the fight. But when he was champion, what happened? Andy overdid it with the Coronas and the tacos. Wilder has lived a lot of his reputation from being brave in the third Fury fight. And has Fury killed a lot of the fire in Deontay Wilder? Let's say a fight goes longer than a round. Someone starts working him to the body, hitting him with some big headshots and really wants a fight, which I don't think a lot of his opponents have been up for a fight. Fury was up for a fight. Spilka, he was up for a fight. Like, they met up in, I think it was a car park, and Spilka sounded demented. You're going down, you're going down! And yes, he got knocked out in the ninth, but up until then it was a competitive fight. And if Andy is in that frame of mind where he wants to compete, and it's like a case of, okay, if you're going to knock me out, you knock me out. But until then, I'm going to try and take your head off. If he goes in there like that, what kind of Wilder will respond to someone who really wants to fight him is what interests me. Wilder's won one fight in the last 3 or so years, and that went 1 round against a good opponent, perhaps a top 10 opponent in Helenius after the 2 wins over Kaunaki. But I wouldn't say an elite top 10 heavyweight. Wilder has very good power, but for that power to be effective, he has to be up for it, because you can never tell when you get that guy who goes in there saying, I'm not worried about if he can knock me out. I'm not trying to get hit on the chin, but I'm trying to knock him out as much as he's trying to knock me out. And when you get that guy who says, I ain't going down until you convince me that I'm not built for this, I'm going at it. And that's what Wilder had to do against Luis Ortiz, because Ortiz is one of the few opponents who went in there thinking, I'm winning this fight. I'm talking about the first fight. I'm going to win this fight. And Wilder had to show a lot of resolve to get that victory. But that doesn't get easier when you're 37, 38. That don't get easier. And add to that the beatings he's took since them Ortiz victories, the inactivity, the self-doubt that must be plaguing him. All that time he spent hiding behind his fan base's excuses and him himself making excuses for the second Fury fight. I'll have to see a lot more for him to convince me that he's still got the same mentality as the unbeaten Deontay Wilder. Wilder said, short, fat, T-Rex arms. He'll be non-existent if he passes on the fight. I like how Andy responded, because he looked really irritated by that. Oh, more fat boy jokes. And we know that's Andy's best fuel, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, call him fat boy, fat Pillsbury doughboy, and you can't fight. And then he wants to show up and prove everybody wrong. I think Wilder put him in that zone, talking about, I'm fat, got short arms, and that I'm fast. That's what everybody says. That's what everybody thinks until they meet me inside the ring. Guess what? This fat chubby kid is about to humble your ass down. Let's get it, baby. Come on. And he looked really irritated. And he needs to take that into the ring. He didn't have that going into the Chris Arreola fight. He didn't have that. Chris Arreola was comfortable in his journeyman role. And he actually put Andy on the floor, didn't he? I don't think Andy's going to be the guy who's going to have a lot of expectation on him and perform. He's always going to thrive in this underdog, fat kid. I'm going to prove you wrong. That's Andy. I think that's Andy. Although with Andy, I think there has to be a question mark on how much he really wants it. Unless he's blown through all that money he earned fighting Joshua. Did he apex on that night there? Because if that's the case, Wilder will blow him out within 2 rounds. Against Luis Ortiz, we saw some great counter-punching, some very good boxing, and then we saw him switch off. Like, he didn't really push for that stoppage, did he? Why not? Isn't that something that Anthony Joshua's being critiqued about? And if you're fighting Wilder, you have to take that killer mentality in there, like Tyson Fury did. You have to take that in there. Let's not beat about the bush, whether we think Wilder is this or that. If you're going to go in there with Deontay Wilder, you've got to be about that life, or don't go in there. Luis Ortiz, he says Wilder would destroy Andy. I don't think Wilder could put Andy out with one shot. As Wilder goes up the levels and takes on the better heavyweights, and I think Ruiz would qualify for one of the better heavyweights he's had in the ring with him. He'd have to put his punches together more, be a little more strategic than looking for one shot. I think it would be harder for Andy to win it than I foresee it would be for Wilder to win it, for obvious reasons. Hopefully we get the fight.
Yes, I'm fighting this Saturday here in Italy, Milan, and God willing everything goes well. I've signed to fight Joshua BUATSI in a South London dust up. Styles make fights, and every time we spar this Gerald, so I can't see it being any different in this fight. We're both undefeated. It's an all South London dust up. There's pride on the line, and we just want to contest and see who's really and truly number one. So yeah, I think you'd be expecting more than that explosiveness in sparring.
So Dan Aziz is going to be fighting on Saturday. I didn't know about this. In Italy, Milan, as he says, or Milan as I know it. The fight's not going to be televised. It's an 8-rounder. I wonder if they're going to have some cameras there. I don't know. It's very much a tune-up. He also won the European title in Italy in, was it May or April this year? Why are they having the fight in Italy? Trying to keep it real low-key. But there it is. BUATSI versus Dan Aziz has been signed, apparently. I haven't heard Joshua BUATSI say anything. Now, Dan Aziz is still undefeated. He's picked up the British, Commonwealth and European, hasn't lost none of them in the ring. Will all three be on the line? Now, the loser, they might be kicking themselves for not taking that Bivol fight, but the winner will be in a good position depending out or what the landscape looks like after Beterbiev fights Smith. Dimitri Bivol, Lord knows what he's doing. I don't think he's got a dance partner yet.
Just to add to that Don Charles story, I know that's absolutely true because Emmanuel Stewart did an interview with me about 2 years before he died on BBC 5 Live where he admitted that Derek Del Boy Chisora was all wrong for Vladimir Klitschko.
Yeah.
That's not to say that he thought Vladimir Klitschko would lose to Derek Del Boy Chisora, but he knew it would be a hard night's work. So that's actually true.
Difficult task on Saturday against Usyk, but I wasn't particularly engaged with that fight. And I'm not overly interested in seeing Dillian Whyte versus Derek Chisora 3.
Why not?
Because, I think it's an interesting domestic fight. But with respect to you, Derek, you fought every time you've stepped up a level, you've lost at that level.
Maybe your view don't really matter.
Possibly, but and of course that's your perspective. I'm answering a question that was asked of me. I've also been very respectful of the two fights that you've had. I don't particularly think you're at world level. I think Dillian Whyte has the potential to be there, and I'm not really interested in seeing Derek Chisora versus Dillian Whyte again. That's all. It's no disrespect to you intended.
Why is the world level, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, the level that beats you every time you step up to it.
Level that beats me, like who have I got a lot of Vladimir Klitschko. And,
but that's you're answering your own question, Derek. Every time you step,
you actually lost to Vitali. You spat water in Vladimir's face. Yeah, testimony from Emmanuel Stewart. He didn't want Vladimir Klitschko anywhere near Derek. I remember hearing Emmanuel didn't like the look in Derek's eyes, and he cooled it off. Apparently, Vlad had some abdominal issues. Yeah, he didn't have the stomach for the fight. You mean? Another one Simon probably doesn't remember is Derek sending that letter to Deontay Wilder demanding a fight, and Derek got crickets back. So this guy you're saying always loses at world level seemed to have a lot of the guys at the top shook. Must mean he's worth something. Is Derek a charlatan, Simon? He's a charlatan, isn't he? So yeah, let's make the comment section laugh. Cause yeah, Derek's a charlatan. Like Chris Eubank, the charlatans.